Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. Welcome to the Wulff Den.
Today, this video goes up on Friday, and The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is in theaters. Neither of us have seen it.
Well, by the time this video comes out.
We probably will have seen it.
Maybe.
Yeah, if we feel like it. The reviews are starting to come in. It's a little mixed, to be honest. A lot of the criticism being levied toward this movie is that this doesn't feel so much like a movie as much as it feels more like a trailer for what Sony wants to do with Spider-Man as a franchise. And I feel like this is indicative of a larger problem with comic book movies in the wake of the Avengers, and that everybody wants to have an Avengers-style movie. More so, they want an Avengers-style hit. So you'll see Sony, in this case, hey, Spider-Man's got all these villains. Let's throw a bunch of villains together and do the villain version of the Avengers. Warner Brothers is like, hey, we have the Justice League. That's better than the Avengers. Let's get Justice League out as fast as possible. Fox is even trying to do that with the X-Men and the Fantastic Four for some reason. And so it's just... But you look at the way all the other studios are doing it, and you can't help but wonder how and why Marvel is doing it not only best, but right. They wanted to do this from the beginning. You know, this was their plan all along. They mapped it out. They look at what's working, what's not working, and they're trying to do this in the most natural way possible. You look at the whole Phase 1, as they call it. I mean, it started with Iron Man. That was like putting their toes in the water. Then it went to The Incredible Hulk. Then Iron Man 2. Then Captain America. Then Thor. And then the Avengers. It was a nice progression, basically. One after the other until finally it gets to the Avengers. You look at what Sony's doing with Spider-Man. And they put out the first Amazing Spider-Man. And then the Avengers came out. And that made all the money. And Sony said, well, wait, we can do that, but we have to do it in the context of Spider-Man. So now, Amazing Spider-Man only really had the one villain, Lizard. And now, Amazing Spider-Man 2 has Electro, it has the Green Goblin, it has Rhino. It introduces the Sinister Six at some point in the movie. That's not a spoiler because it's in the trailer for the movie. So it's just, instead of gradually introducing these elements over time, they're cramming it into one movie, basically.
This is a very, very easy way for these companies to, well, like, the Avengers set like a bar very, very, very high.
Yeah.
That now everybody has to meet.
Right.
So you can't blame these companies for wanting to do that.
I'm not blaming them, but I feel like, you know, they're not looking at how the Avengers got there. They're just looking at the Avengers itself. It's like just a movie about a whole bunch of superheroes getting together, and they think that's the secret, when it's not. The fact that Marvel, you know, worked at creating this universe and went from... It's like that Drake song. They started at the bottom, and now they're here.
The same thing happened with comic books when? Like, when did this happen? In, like, the 60s? When characters started teaming up?
Give or take, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, like...
Because you had the Avengers, and everybody's like, oh shit, we can put the characters together, and people like that.
Well...
It's like when you take your Spider-Man action figures and you play with your G.I. Joe action figures. What?
But even that was like...
They can cross universes?
Yeah, okay, because even that took a time. I mean, Batman and Superman debuted in 38 and 39 respectively. They didn't get together until like, you know, the 40s or the 50s, and then the Justice League got together in the 60s. You know, so even that was slowly over time.
I know, but then after they saw that was successful, everybody just started having all of the characters in the same comic books.
I mean, you look at...
Well, they're trying to make the progression. They're just trying to do it quickly so that they can make the money.
Right, but that doesn't seem to be a good idea, because now it looks like they came out with a movie that, you know, not a lot of people seem to like.
The interesting thing about what Marvel did was that in the very beginning, it wasn't set up to be a crossover.
Right. They were just trying
After the first couple of movies, they're like, yeah, let's make it all come together.
They were essentially just trying to make their own movies and just throwing little winks and nods here and there. But, I mean, you can't deny when Samuel Jackson showed up at the end of Iron Man and said, I'm here to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative. Like, you knew that there was, like, a hint that, like, something's going to happen.
Right.
Like, they were going to build towards it. And every movie since then was just, putting an extra piece of the puzzle. But Iron Man was in 2008, and the Avengers was in 2012. I mean, that's 4 years. They were building towards something, whereas in Spider-Man, there's, really only 2 years they've been building towards it. They're trying to get the same result in half the time with less movies.
And with less interesting characters.
Yeah, much less interesting characters.
They have one superhero, Spider-Man, and now they're teaming up supervillains.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that. A Venom spinoff. I love Venom. Great character. I love Carnage. Great character.
They're not
gonna be a good story.
They're not interesting enough on their own. I mean, especially the Eddie Brock version of Venom only works as a foil to Peter Parker.
Right.
I mean, the Flash Thompson Venom, that could work on his own.
But you need Eddie Brock first.
Right. And but they built him from the ground up to work on his own. Switching back over to the other company, Warner Brothers and DC, who really don't know what they're doing at all with their movies. It seems like every other month they announce a new cast member to what was supposed to be just the Man of Steel sequel. Then it turned into Batman, Superman, and then Wonder Woman's also in it. Oh, now Cyborg's in it. So
they're probably like, we need more money for this movie. Well, how do we know it's going to be good? Man of Steel wasn't very good. And they're like, well, it's going to be good. Well, I don't know if I should give you this money. Wonder Woman's going to be in it. All right, here's some money.
All right, but then that's the case. Then, who thought, Cyborg's a big box office draw?
Then they needed more money, and they were like, all right, well, I mean, Man of Steel wasn't very good. We got Wonder Woman in it. I know you said that. They already gave me more money. Justice League, Cyborg's going to be in it. Oh, my God, Cyborg's going to be in it?
But then, over the weekend, they announced that Justice League is going to be the third movie in this series, also directed by Zack Snyder. So, I mean, is Batman, Superman really just going to be Justice League 0, or is it going to be like a proper sequel to Man of Steel?
It's not going to be a proper sequel to Man of Steel.
Yeah, definitely not. At this point, there's no way.
And I hope not, because nobody liked Man of Steel except for me.
Yeah.
I am optimistic about that movie. I think it'll be okay.
But do we want okay?
No, but take what you can get. I was very optimistic about Amazing Spider-Man 2. After the first one, I was like, but the second one's going to be awesome. I thought the whole first one was a build-up for the second one, and now that I've been seeing trailers and stuff and set pictures of the second one, I've been getting more and more disappointed, and I'm not very excited to see it.
But you see, a movie should not be made to basically be a trailer for another movie. I don't want to sit through a 2-hour trailer. Basically, if you're gonna make a movie, make a movie. Don't make something that is supposed to get me excited for something else.
Right.
Do
you think these Amazing Spider-Man movies are building up to the Sinister Six movie? Do you think the Sinister Six movie is building up to Amazing Spider-Man 3?
No, I think Amazing Spider-Man at this point is building up towards the Sinister Six movie.
That's so stupid. I don't want to see that.
Yeah, Sony announced 2 spin-offs to Amazing Spider-Man, which include the Sinister Six and Venom. It'll be a redemption story of the characters and won't feature the original lineup of the team. See, that's a dumb idea, and here's why. The Sinister Six was created because they were fed up with Spider-Man. All these characters, after, years of just being beaten and essentially bullied by Spider-Man, because
he's a bully,
he bullies them. They're like, man, if one of us can't do it, then 6 of us have to. So it's basically the story of these guys who are just down on their luck and decide, we all get together and beat the crap out of this teenager. So, and then to do a redemption story, I mean, these are not good people, the Sinisters. They're bad people. The original lineup was the Green Goblin, who, let's not forget, threw Gwen Stacy off of a bridge and killed her. Spoiler alert. Dr. Octopus is not a very nice person. Vulture's a terrible person. Kraven the Hunter is a raving lunatic who likes to dance around naked. Kraven's Last Hunt. Read that if you want to see that. So, I mean, like, you can't really do a redemption story with these people.
We don't know who the characters are going to be, because the Sinister Six is this. In the comics, it started out as a set group of people, and then they switched people every once in a while.
In the comics, it was a select group of people, and then like it would change over time. Right. So in the movie's probably not going to be the original lineup. It'll probably be some amalgamation.
It'll probably be all the popular villains.
They'll probably bring the Lizard back since he's still alive.
That's true.
You know. So I mean,
and Venom might be a good guy or a bad guy. We don't know.
Right. For the record, he should only be a good guy when Carnage is involved.
Where's Mary Jane?
See, okay,
because they casted Mary Jane and then they got rid of her.
That's also something we should bring up. They casted Shailene Woodley as Mary Jane. They filmed scenes. She was done. She did her work. They paid her. She filmed all of her scenes. Then they decided, somebody up at Sony decided, well, we really want to do the Sinister Six because that's the closest thing we have to the Avengers. She's taking up a lot of room in this movie, so let's just get rid of her. So like they completely cut her out of the movie to make way for all this other stuff that they want to shove in.
I think they wanted more Emma Stone. They're afraid to get rid of Emma Stone.
I want to see the Sinister Six in a movie. I want to see Venom done well in a movie. I want to see a Justice League movie. But I want to see it done right, and it just feels like they're not doing it right. They're just rushing to the end zone. They're not taking their time and thinking this through. They think they're thinking this through, because every 5 minutes they say, oh, we're really looking towards the comics, and we're really, concentrating on this and this. We really want fans to experience this. But do you? Do you really? My point is that these movies should not suffer because the individual movies should not suffer because the studio wants to rush towards an Avengers style event movie where everybody gets together and has a great big hoedown. You need to understand that yes, it's nice to throw all these hints and nods in a movie, but when you start to focus your movie into basically a trailer for your next movie, people are not going to like that movie. In fact, people are going to not want to see the next movie because you did so poorly with the current movie. That's basically what I'm trying to say.
Basically, the formula is have an awesome movie and then have a tease at the end.
Yeah.
For something else.
And
then have another awesome movie and have a tease at the end for the same thing that the other thing had a tease for.
Yeah.
And then make a collaborative.
Yeah, and
movie.
then take your time with it. Don't rush. Just relax.
Marvel had a perfect formula. They had a perfect scenario, is what I'm trying to say. They just, everything was just set beautifully, and I don't think they planned it. And then when they saw it happening, they were like, oh, let's do this now.
Yeah. So, because even, Incredible Hulk didn't do too great, but, they saw that people were responding to the fact that it was referencing other things in the Marvel Universe here and there. And when Tony Stark showed up and he said, hey, putting together a team, then they're all like, hey, maybe we should keep building this team. So, you don't know that we want a Sinister Six movie.
Yeah.
So maybe it's too late. Amazing Spider-Man 2 is already out. So, but maybe judge what people say about this movie and then rethink Spider-Man 3. Be like, I guess people don't want to see a Sinister Six movie. Let's reel it back and just
license him out to the Avengers.
Yeah. Or maybe just do a solo movie where he fights Chameleon or something. I don't know. What do you people think should be done about these big franchise movies?
If you could lay out a plan for the Spider-Man movies in the future.
Or the Justice League movies, or any comic book
X-Men.
movies. Even
Lobo. I saw Lobo on your screen 2 seconds ago.
Yes.
Also, share this video with your buddies.
Yeah.
Because that's important.
Let them know that there are concerned citizens out there over the state of comic book movies.
Yes. And let's have a conversation about it.
Yes.
Because we like to talk to you people.
Yes.
Over the internet, not in person.
Yeah.
We're introverts. Thank you very much.
If you subscribe if you really like, follow us on the Facebook and the Twitter.
Download Octodad, just came out. Have a good week.
So I had something completely different planned for today's episode. I was all ready to talk about one specific thing, then all of a sudden, Comixology came along and blew up my Twitter feed. So here we are talking about that.
But sometimes it feels like people are into My Little Pony for the sake of being weird and different. Anyway, this is supposed to be a show about games, so let's go to games.